It is our favorite time of the week again. Hashtag Rising Qs when we get to answer your questions. Saagar, what is up first?
Number one, what do we got? Okay, if Joe Biden decides to retire after serving one term in office and Kamala runs in his place in 2024, do you see Joe Manchin running against her in the Democratic primary in light of the VP trolling the West Virginia senator in his own state? I honestly don't know, Krystal. What do you think? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Isn't he kind of old? Let me look up his age.
Manchin, he's pretty old. I mean, spring chicken probably by
73
standards here. Oh,
so,
well, I mean, he's just entering the
5
prime
years
of his
younger than
life.
the President of the United States. Cool.
No, I don't think he has. First of all, I think there's no way he could survive a Democratic primary. This is the guy who kept his power in West Virginia by pulling stunts like doing the ad, shooting the cap and trade bill and whatever. I mean, it's really his very socially conservative positions that keep him in step with the West Virginia electorate and maintaining power there. And I just don't think that he could deal with that on a national political level. And look, I would be okay with someone having some of his position on guns, position on abortion, even though it's not where I am on those issues, if he had, on the other side, really good, like, populist economics, but there's really nothing redeemable there. So, no, I don't think he has national political aspirations. I think he's happy in West Virginia. It's a bit of an open question whether he even runs again.
I think you're exactly right. All right, what's next?
Next question. What should we really do when it comes to copyright laws and internet censorship? We know it's coming. We know it's basically book burning for the 21st century. What can we do to protect our rights to an open democracy? Saagar, what do you think?
Oh, it's such a tough question, Joe.
It's a big one.
I've thought about it a lot. Well, here's the part of the problem. One of the solutions, the right is like, well, let's do antitrust. But here's the thing. It's more about ideological capture. Like, Amazon Web Services that wasn't owned by Amazon would still have taken down Parler, right? So, I mean, is antitrust really the answer? I think it's a combination of all three. And really what it is actually more of we need more consumer demand. And we need to say we just want consistent standards. I think everybody would be okay with consistent standards. I am also uncomfortable about the government getting involved in whenever it comes to speech issues themselves and then regulating it. What did we just talk about with Katie Halper about a reality? It's like, I don't want that either. And so, look, we have to try and balance it, but I think the solution much more comes from us and our demands of both government and the companies than necessarily either or, if that makes sense.
I think, there's not one silver bullet thing. There's antitrust because they just have way too much power.
That's a power question.
There's also the sorts of transparency initiatives where you're able to disclose, like, this is why this person got banned. So they have to prove that they're using a consistent process in all of this. And that can be so that there's a grievance process so that you're not just SOL.
Yes.
If that ultimately happens, I think that's important. I also think, and this is another piece of this, disclosure and transparency around the way the algorithms work. Because people aren't wrong to be pissed off that, like, YouTube, for example, uses their algorithm to push people to the most extreme content. So it's not let all voices and all information is getting equal footing. No, they've actually, over the years, actively promoted some of the worst stuff. So we should also have transparency around that so that we do have a healthier ecosystem on these social media platforms and they're not profiting off of misinformation and promoting this sort of fringe content, which is what many of these platforms have done for a lot of years.
I think that's the right way to go, which is to require disclosure, because right now there's not a lot of disclosure. This is something the FCC had been looking at under Ajit Pai, and it might still work that way under Biden. Really have no idea. But these are the types of things where the FCC could be like, hey, you have to publish what your moderation standards are. We're not going to tell you what they have to be, but you have to publish what they are, which would require them to have to be consistent, and people could adjudicate it based on that basis. I think that's probably the best way to go.
Yeah, so. I think that is at least one positive step forward. All right, Saagar, what's the last one?
Last question is, do you think the Biden administration is 2 steps behind because of the surprise win in Georgia, the slow transition of power, or they generally just didn't have a plan? I think you know the answer to that question.
Dog that caught the car. Like, oh my God, wait a second, we have to govern now.
What?
Holy shit, what do we do? A great friend of the show, Ira Miose from Punk, the Funky Academic, keeps writing me that, like, how many Democrats are really regretting that they actually have majority now and they don't have an excuse for why they can't do the things that they explicitly promised voters that they would do. And that's a sad fact of government. That's not a Democratic Party thing exclusively. It's quite ironic the only Democrat who actually seemed like he was ready for the moment and genuinely excited to have the majority and wanting to do things with that majority is Bernie Sanders, who isn't a real Democrat, or at least that's what they'll keep telling you.
Sorry. Yeah. It's absolutely, they got caught flat-footed. They have no idea what they're doing. It's day, I don't even know, however, into the Biden presidency, no clear plan, negotiating on $1,400 checks. Good luck in 2022.
More Rising for you later today.